These are the kind of videos I find really useful, where people tell you what they earned from their video photography work in a given month, for example. Last month, I did my taxes for the previous year, so I had a rude awakening. The last year was a really bad year. I knew that already, but yeah, doing your taxes and making it known, yeah, that was the worst year for a long time. So September, how did September start off? Pretty empty. The end of August was the shoot, and then so that was probably editing. So there'll be invoices from the previous month that were coming in, but we're not going to talk about those. The first job in September. Okay. So the first job in September was a event shoot for a company that's based in Birmingham, I think, but they were doing an event in London. They'd contacted me a couple of months before, but then it came down to planning it kind of the week before. Train and stuff like that had already been booked. This is actually a tough one because the guy who helped me the previous year, we'll not go too much into that, he wasn't available for it. So I had to then go and find someone. I tried Production Hub. I got a few people. They were all too expensive, and they were all like, offering full production services. I was like, no, I've got the job. I just need one person to man a camera. I did find someone in the end, booked him in at, I think his day rate was like maybe $450, and then I just said $650, can we call it that? And you arrange your own transport and stuff to it, which just made it easier for me. I'm sure if I'd arranged it all, could have got it, could have spent less on transport for him. It was staying over the night before, and I've got the thing here, I think, of how much it broke down to. So hotel, £171. That's for two of us. Katie, my partner, she was with me on this one. Train, 152. That's for two of us. 650 for the third cam op. Katie's day rate was 450. Mics. So I had to buy. In fact, these ones that I'm using right now, I had to buy 2 sets of those because we needed a lot of mics, and it was very on the fly. The year before I rented everything, but that had its own issues where we had to like get stuff back to the rental place and then it was a bit of a nightmare. Mics, each pack of 2 was 120 quid. So that came out to, that's wrong, isn't it? It's another 110. So 1,630, which left me with just over £900 for my rate for the day and for planning it. So this was no editing. Pre-production 2 hours, on set was 9-ish, and post-production was just offloading media, so it was like an hour. Comes out to about £75 an hour for me. There's definitely more time in pre-production that I hadn't really, like the time booking the train and things like that. That, as of the 9th of October, that is just been paid. So that's 2,500 total. Okay rate. It does mean we couldn't spend as much on equipment and things like that. Then it was another week. So the 18th was the next shoot. That was a really small, just going back and doing 2 office spaces took about an hour. I think I charged 200 for that. So that was a video that we'd done a while back showing off this development, and they've got loads of different offices, different scales of offices to rent out. They just wanted me to shoot a bit more of like a new office that had come up for rent and plug that into the existing video. So it was like an hour shooting, and then maybe, I don't know, 40 minutes tops doing the edit on that. Next shoot was that Friday, so that was a Wednesday. This is the Friday. That's for a company that I work for, who they send me products, and I photograph the products, make videos of the products, things like that. That was a Christmas shoot. We did most of it that day. So I've got a retainer with them. It's £965, I think, per month, which gives them 1 product class shoot per month. I have worked with them for a long time. I definitely don't stick to the time. So sometimes, like this one, we did the main shoot on Friday. That's with like Katie on set helping me and getting the most of it done. But then the following week, I went and did some like extra shots that weren't really extra. We could have done them on that day, or we could have done them amongst this. But I went back and actually I went and found a location that I thought would be perfect. It's actually the video that's up where I took the Hasselblad, and I kind of did the comparison between the Hasselblad and the Sony, and I ended up doing that 2 weeks later. In the meantime, on the next Wednesday, I did some photos for a friend of mine who I share a studio with. She does handbags. I haven't actually invoiced for this. This happens sometimes. I'm a little bit sketchy when it comes to remembering invoices for these kind of smaller things that are very ad hoc. Yeah. Then the following week, the last day of September, is the day that I did those last pickup shots for the products, like I said, with the Hasselblad. I also, throughout this month, have been planning 2 shoots for another company that I've got a retainer with. The way the retainer works is they pay monthly, or at least they should, and that amounts to, so I got paid for this month, even though I haven't done the shoot in this month, but I've done the planning for it, and I've done the planning for 2 shoots in this month, which will be shot in October. Does that make sense? So half the money I get this month, half the money I get next month, but all the shoots happen next month. Doesn't mean the planning hasn't happened, but all the shoots happen in October, paid for September. So all told, that's 2,500, 200, 965, 40 for the mates rates ones, $1,500 for the planning of the other shoot. So what's that in total? I think that's £4,905. But as you saw from like the breakdown of that event shoot, you see that a lot of that doesn't actually come to me. That also is the same with the Paper Republic, and then the other, that also with some of the products, that doesn't always come to me either. You know, if there's models, sometimes I'll pay for that out of pocket, which I probably shouldn't do, but what you're going to do is, it's tight times, and if you want to create the best work, sometimes they don't have the budget for it, but you know it just needs it. Like this happens with props and locations and things like that. You just want to make it the best thing you can do, and actually it pays to put that extra effort in sometimes. I think as long as they appreciate it, it really helps, and as long as you can use it to kind of promote your work, and kind of promote your work and use it as advertising, you know, use it as like here's what we can do when we've got the budget. Like I say though, this is a month where there's a lot of planning. So there's a lot of days there that feel like they're unaccounted for. And looking back on it, you're like, God, what did I even do? But there's planning and there's editing. So there'll be editing for some stuff that I shot the month before. There were some complex videos that I shot in August that definitely had amends that were still going on into September, which again isn't ideal. In fact, some of them are still going on till now, which isn't ideal. But these are the things you face as a videographer, as a filmmaker, whatever you want to call it. The other thing I did last month is I sold a lot of stuff. So there's probably another 2,000 of like income in there that's not, it's like the Mac Studio and the iPad. I just wasn't using them. All well and good being like, I'm going to use the iPad to do notes when we're on set. I'm going to use the iPad to do as like a client monitor. That thing fails once, you decide never to use it again. The sort of Wi-Fi like craps out on it, you just decide never to use that again. Simple as that. The Mac Studio was literally just being used as a backup. It was just plugged into the RAID, and it was just backing up to Backblaze. That was all it was getting used for. And so I was just like, right, £1,000 and 980 quid it went for in the end. Get it gone. I don't need it. It's not a vanity thing, but it's like a, you know, oh yeah, I use the Mac Studio. Yeah, whatever. I don't care anymore. I sold some other bits. You know, there was some like some cameras that had like Fuji X100. Love that camera. Amazing bit of like it's not retro tech, but it's like old enough that it's kind of like weird and fun. And if you've ever used the Fuji like rangefinder type cameras, they're great. But I bought it for like 180 quid, and they were going on eBay for like 500. I sold mine for like 3 something, and I was pretty happy with that. And I wasn't using it. What's the point in having this shit about if you're not using it? So yeah, there was some extra kind of like, it's not really income, but it's like recouping money. September's also one of my most expensive months because my music licensing is up in September, my insurance is up in September, so that's like 500 pounds just in those two. There's a couple of like some of my website stuff, the domain renewal, everything kind of like hits at the same time because I started my business in September 2015 or 16, whatever it was. So that hits all at the same time, basically. All in all, kind of okay month. Could have probably done with another big job in there, but yeah, okay. This month is looking pretty light. October's looking pretty light, but we'll catch up on that once it's done, because you never know, there's always surprises. You find things just drop in your lap sometimes when you'd least expect it. So yeah, we'll see. But other than that, I've got two biggish shoots this month, and that's kind of it so far in October. I hope that's helpful. Like, I really like the idea of diving into this. It's kind of uncomfortable, but I think the more people do this, the more other people are doing this, the more we kind of see what the landscape looks like for this kind of thing. So thanks for watching. Leave down in the comments any questions or anything like that, and I'll see you tomorrow.